All right, hello everybody. Craig and myself were out there as well. If you stop to talk to us, hello again. If not, I'll tell you a little bit about Craig and myself. Craig's been doing sponsored programs for 29 years, and I have been for 14. So combined, I think we have some good expertise. So even if what we're saying today is just kind of not making sense or you're not ready for that stage yet, remember to reach out to us in the future. You're going to be pulling up some...
I'm going to pull up some information.
All right.
I'll speak loudly, sorry. I'm going to pull some information. She's going to keep talking and doing a little song at the end just for a second.
We can share this. Oh, there we go.
Okay.
All right, so while Craig is pulling up some information, what we really wanted to do is show you where the resources are available, either on our website or how you can gather some additional information in the future. We know that we're not going to be able to really give you a ton of information today about how to do things, but we want to show you where those resources are on our website. Again, Craig and myself are representing Sponsored Programs Administration. Craig is in the pre-award office, so that he assists with proposal submissions. A lot of you would have administrators in your departments that you would work with when you're responding to a request for a proposal. They'd help you build that budget, help you get that proposal together, and then it would route through the central office. Craig is one of the proposal team managers. There's proposal team 1 and proposal team 2. That information is on the website to let you know what unit you're in, who you would contact and which proposal team you would work with to do that submission. There's also contracts teams in the pre-award office. Contract team 1 and 2, again, depending on the college that you're working with, you would work with one of those teams. They're the group that will review and negotiate any language terms. If you ever get a signed agreement that a sponsor gives you and says, hey, we want to give you some money, here's the agreement, sign it. Don't sign it yourself. Send it over to Office of Sponsored Programs. We'll make sure that gets the authorized official signature on that. Once you have a signed agreement, it comes over to my group in Contracts and Grants, and we set up an account for you. We help with the post-award management of the research dollars. Our office will also help with financial reporting and any prior approvals with that agency and closing out.
Okay,
I think you've pulled up everything that you wanted to.
All right. So we just did two-step authentication, which we need to do for all our different logins. And if you have a challenge, we have an IT group that does help out. If we go first to the Lifecycle, and the reason we're doing these slides online is because what we're really trying to show is there's a map for all the different components you have. We only have 7 minutes. So last year we had 19 slides in 7 minutes, which did not work out. So the life cycle here is from our web page. It basically starts off with funding opportunities, which VPRI helps out with. Proposal development, there's 2 proposal teams, 1 and 2. And there's also an awards group, which we have 2 teams for that as well. And that is the next step here. This is showing us that we have a life cycle that OSP handles for the first 3 components, and the next 3 Stacy handles.
Yep, and so the account setup, any modifications to that account and award management and award closeout. Within there is also something called effort reporting. So if you've worked at a university before, you may have had to do something like payroll certification or effort reporting, and that is a big part of our office. It's most of the expenditures on our research accounts, and when we do something a little unique, we have a homegrown system. So again, if there's ever any questions in the future about an effort report, think Stacy Salisbury. She said the word effort reporting, and I didn't know what it was, but now I'm going to call her because it's not making sense. And just give me a call, and we'll talk about it.
So all these steps are out on the web page if you want to look at a particular one. So no notes needed, 7 minutes we're taking here to take your time just to explain it. But all the different pieces that we're showing you are important. If you're looking for your department and college administrators, make sure you have a copy of this presentation. I think it's sent to all of you. You can get directly to your list. A lot of new professors do not know who their contacts are. They're listed here by the department, which is great. I'm just going to go back to the slides.
Yeah, so our videos. We do have several videos here that you can look through for tutorials on how-tos. There's the Koali system for developing proposals. There'll be some how-to videos here for that. Effort reporting, like I mentioned, Account Explorer is interface so you can see a project management tool for your finances and for the terms and conditions. And this is, again, linked to the slides. You can check it out.
That's right. So in other words, we're just going to show you where everything is, just like as a map. Now, if Listserv, this helps keep informed. This is our list server. It's on the web page as well.
So if you sign up for the Listserv, you'll get some notices, sometimes agency notices. Craig works with the NSF notices.
Yep,
that'll come out to say, hey, these are the changes that you have to pay attention to in your proposal, how you're formatting it, how many pages things can be. So it can be really helpful to sign up for that Listserv.
Absolutely. We're logged into the Koali system, is where you would submit your proposals and also do some different components like the unit would have some reports. It also could see where we are at in our negotiations for an agreement. It's all online, it's enterprise.
Yep. And once you have a proposal, you can see where it's at along the way. Institutional proposal means it was submitted to the agency. And then once it's going to get assigned an account, you can also see that information that it's flowing into the award part of the system.
Yep. And also conflict of interest is handled here as well. Timeline, okay, so this is going to be rhetorical. What's the worst thing that could happen to your proposal? And I was just having a conversation with a new professor, and they said, well, being rejected, that's the worst thing. I said, no, it's not getting in at all. So we have a deadline policy, and this is a timeline that's suggested for how to put a standard proposal together. So identifying your funding source, how far out to do it. Then the next part is communicating with your colleagues. And then the next part is getting your budget together for our office. And fourth step, getting closer where you're working with our office. So each department has an administrative office and help you put your proposal together. Central office, we're like 3M, we make it better. We try to make sure that all the compliance components are done, and then we also submit. And then we're getting on to a deadline policy is where we get closer to the deadline. The bottom line is our policy says if you're on time to us, we will give you the best service. If you're not, we will not let you jump in front of others. You can still submit, we won't give you as much service. So the more timely, the more service you get. And then the at-risk is where you would need your research dean going through your chair in order to get approval for submission on the day of, if it comes to that part where the proposal's not to us yet within the 8 business hours. Okay, so if we go to the next piece, I know we're cutting it close on time. For award negotiation and acceptance?
Yeah, so for award negotiation and acceptance, it can be a trying time at times because you got notification from the agency that you received an award, and then you got to do this compliance stuff and the waiting game until we have a fully executed agreement and you can get your account. So some of the things that you should pay attention to and try to get done as soon as possible, anything related to human subjects or animal use or conflict of interest, to get that out of the way prior to the award stage. OSP contracts team is going to be reviewing the terms and conditions, potentially asking you questions about if different things are acceptable to you during the project. And then once that is fully executed, it comes over to my team and we set up that RC or RG account for you to spend out of. There is something called a hardship or advance account if you do not have a fully executed agreement, and that's something that your department administrator can help you with. But the gist of it is that you get an account ahead of time to make sure your expenditures are on the correct account going forward and not having to worry about cost transfers. Account setup and modifications. Here's a little timeline on our website so you can see if in the future you're wanting to see how that goes and who works on what within our office. The website has those resources.
Okay, so for metrics, this is Twyla Reichley. She runs our office. She's fantastic. Mm-hmm. So this is sort of a breakdown. We run these all the time. I think one of the interesting components here it will show based on the type of department where you are, and like 36% for Nat Sci for no deadlines. So there you go, that's sort of nice. But it'll give you a breakdown for those that do have deadlines, what's the percentage. There are some issues with, after the fact, we don't need to get in there, we just need to keep moving on. Okay, so let me go to the next, sorry about that. Next piece is resources, and the main piece here is that we have a core group, which is your research deans. And within that group, there's also another group that's underneath them or works with them, which is the Sprout group, which has administrators that get together and try to focus on standard issues in our office. RASIC is another group which systems play a big role in submission, in processing proposals. It can be frustrating. We are upgrading to another system, which is version 6. We're pretty excited about that for proposal submission. And post-award also has got the Account Explorer, which is amazing. You'll like that. And then underneath that, Twyla has the SPAC group, which is administrators, PIs in our office in order to solve problems. So if there's an issue, they work together and collaborate.
There's a tool we didn't look at called Account Explorer that you can see your project-specific information. If that's something you're interested in learning more about, you can call me and we can always talk through it individually. Anyone in either of our offices are more than happy to come out to you or have you come to us and talk about anything that we just went over and more in depth.
Absolutely. We've got really good point of service responses. We also keep these metrics here, 96, 91, 91, 88. That's all good. This is just showing some of the how we're structured. So Twyla has two bosses, Dr. Shu and Dr. Haas. It's the financial arm and then the faculty side. And then we have a pre-award office, which I'm in, post-award. And then SPA does have their own team in order to do all the different reports. Here's a breakdown of what those are. It's in your presentation. And then, again, 2 proposal teams broken out by activity. And CGA has 4 different teams, and Stacy's in one of them.
Yep, I'm in the awards group, and then we have a couple other functional task-specific groups on our website, so we don't take any more time away. And I think if you have questions, you can submit those at the end, and we'll get back to you on that, so we can keep it moving. Okay?
Thank you.